public sectors is most desirous. So that's from Clea Clark, and I wanted to read that. So, and thank her. How many of you know Clea? Raise your hand. Very good. Okay, so I hope we're learning from each one of these. Our next speaker that I'm going to bring up, and we're going to move along, and this is, I hope there's coffee back there. Okay, great. There's coffee, get the caffeine, get the water, because these are great remarks, folks, and that's what our night is about. Our next, now this is one person I haven't gotten in the street with yet, and I'm looking forward to it. So, Latonya Goldsby, she's a founder of the Black Lives Matter Cleveland. She's an activist, organizer, speaker. She's a CEO, co-founder of Black Leaders Across Cleveland Connected. So I'm going to let her tell you a little more about herself and the organization. So if she would come up, please. Let's welcome her. And if she comes up, I see Don over here chatting. Don, you weren't in the room when I wanted to thank you for all of your work.
Your coffee, that's what I'm trying to find out.
All your work that you've done for the conference. Thank you so much. Yeah. Latonya? Yeah, it's great to meet you too. And the reason I probably haven't met Latonya is because she's so young. I mean, you know, and I've been around forever and ever.
Good evening, everyone. Again, as she stated, my name is Latonya Goldsby. I am one of the co-founders of Black Lives Matter Cleveland chapter, and also the cousin of Tamir Rice. BLM Cleveland was created out of the struggle and the fight for justice while standing alongside of Samaria Rice, the mother of Tamir. On November 22nd, 2014, which happens to be the same day that the announcement was made not to charge Aaron Wilson with the murder of Mike Brown, my 12-year-old cousin Tamir was murdered by Cleveland police officer Timothy. BLM Cleveland began to organize with the Rice family to garner support from the community, locally and internationally. We were operating with the full understanding that this is a political structure and Ohio is a political state. Knowing that, we began to organize around the election of the current district attorney prosecutor, Timothy McGinty. In doing so, we began to strategically meet with city council ward leaders with the intentions of convincing them to either abstain from voting or not endorsing any candidate running for the office of county prosecutor. We attended local endorsement meetings where we were influential in convincing the Democratic Party not to endorse either candidate that was running for county prosecutor. Neither Timothy McGinty nor Michael Malley received an endorsement from the Democratic Party in the Cuyahoga County race for county prosecutor. Creating this disadvantage forced them out into the community to seek the vote of their constituents. It created room for us to be able to galvanize the community around electing a new county prosecutor. In the end, by 80%, we were able to turn out enough votes in the Black community of Cuyahoga County to get rid of Timothy McGinty. This is the first time in Cleveland's history we had this much political influence over such a polarizing election that we were able to unseat an incumbent prosecutor. BLM Cleveland is dedicated to the work of assisting families like mine fight against police murder, city cover-ups, and corruption, all politicians who allow for the gentrification of our communities. We fight against the oppression, torture, and victimization of Black bodies and Black communities. One of the very vital issues that BLM Cleveland is eyeing very closely is the foreclosure and forfeiture rate. Foreclosure and forfeiture is labeled by the county. Between 75 and 85% of foreclosed or forfeited homes belong to minority owners. The county, along with their friends of entrepreneurs, are secretly in collusion to defraud minority homeowners of their properties without legal representation. The aggressive foreclosure and forfeiture is generally focused on the homes with no mortgages, Unpaid real estate taxes are generally used in committing these frauds. A pool of attorneys that specialize in real estate taxes would help ease the burdens in minority communities. We stand against mass incarceration of Black men, women, and children, the disenfranchisement of Black communities. We fight against the disparities in healthcare and in education and affordable housing. We fight for a living wage and equality in jobs, while standing firmly in the affirmation that all lives cannot matter until Black lives matter.
Right.
In order to continue this work and the fight for Black liberation, you can join the movement by donating to Black Lives Matter Cleveland or becoming a member of a chapter. Black Lives Matter, the network, has 42 chapters locally across the United States. So if you're not a resident of Cleveland, if you live out of the state, look up the network. There are local chapters across the country that you can get involved in. If you are an ally in support of Black lives, become an ally for Black lives. I mean, in all aspects where we suffer, as far as education, finances, economically, socially, it should affect everyone, not just those folks that live in that community. Cleveland, Ohio is one of the most segregated cities in the country, from east to west side. Things that are affecting us on the east side don't generally happen on the west side. The so-called war on drugs that was brought up in one of the conversation, you don't see that on the west side of Cleveland. There is no war on drugs in Parma, Strongsville, or anything like that. Those are things that are centrally localized in the Black community as a way to target minorities. So these are some of the things that Black Lives Matter Cleveland, our organization, work on locally within Cleveland. Again, we have a social media page where you can get actively involved in upcoming events that are happening within Cleveland. Recently, we established the People's Platform, which is centralized around local elections in the city of Cleveland. You can go on that page and you'll find information about candidates that are running for office, mayor's office. We have currently 17 city council leaders that are actually up for election. We are galvanizing in the community, seeking folks to unseat these incumbents. This is the work that is needed to be done. This is the work that is needed to be done to get the results that we need. These folks, this administration have, oh my God, it's been long enough. It's time for change. So I want to thank Don, Ryan, for this invitation and the Labor Fightback Network for this opportunity to be able to speak on behalf of Black Lives Matter Cleveland. Thank you.
So my thoughts and prayers with you and your family. And for the work you do, is there a website that people can go to and donate to Black Lives Matter Cleveland?
Yes, we do have a, currently using actually PayPal as our current use of donation avenues, but we do have a fiscal sponsor that accepts funding for us. So if folks want to write personal checks, they just make it out to BL in Cleveland, and that's how that transaction works.
Cleveland. And do you have the website?
I have it, yeah.
Facebook, I know.
Yes, I don't have it.
So everyone, we really appreciate the fact that Latonya was willing to be with us, and thank the organizing committee for having you come and speak. Thank you so much, and we wish you a lot of success in your races to come also. She said she'll get us the website. And I think we have stuff that will be coming out. Yeah, and thank you, Don, for bringing the water up. We have things that will be coming out from the conference, and if we can note that, we'll make sure to put a website where if you're interested, and it's not about just making a donation, it's about making a commitment and becoming a part of the movement. It doesn't matter where you live. When we know what they're dealing with in Cleveland, we've heard her story, then we should get involved. So, are you having fun? Are you learning a lot? Yeah. Let's get into now. These next two guys, what can I say? Wow. I've been in the street with these two, and they've been in the street with me, and they're no strangers to South Carolina, believe it or not. They've been there a lot. So they're going to be coming up and speaking to you, and then we also have some comments. So I'd like for Alan Benjamin of the Labor Fight Back Network Committee to come up and read some statements from our international supporters. Where's Alan? Here you are. I'm so sorry. So let's welcome Alan Benjamin, our commitment from California.
Thank you. I have a couple of messages that I'd like to read. I'd like to just join in briefly paying tribute personally to Jerry and to Bonnie. We worked together very closely over the years, over 30 plus, more than that, 40 years. And the wonderful memorial meeting that we had is in the brochure that we published. We hope you all got a copy of that so you could read the statements and messages. I want to read a message from Bonnie's sister. We had invited Romaine to come tonight to speak to you, but she was not able to be here. Romaine is, in my opinion, one of the unsung leaders and heroes of this movement. She was always in the shadow of Jerry and Bonnie, but she was always the person organizing and doing things, getting people, picking people up, doing the everyday work without getting the credit. And she writes the following: "Thank you for the kind words about my sister. She truly was an amazing person." That's in relation to Bonnie. "Losing her is something I will never quite get over. It is wonderful that you will be honoring Jerry and Bonnie at the Labor Fight Back conference. Unfortunately, we made plans months ago, long before we lost Jerry and Bonnie, to be traveling then, so we will be unable to attend. It's good to know that you will continue to work for the cause that Bonnie and Jerry believe deeply. Sincerely, Romaine." There are two other messages. They're long and I haven't had a chance to translate the second. The first one is from an organizer in Mexico who urges us to support the campaign against the wall, the binational campaign against deportations, and the binational campaign in defense of the rights of all immigrants, and particularly on both sides of the border of farm workers. This is a message from one of the organizers of the 80,000 worker on strike and in struggle, one of the biggest struggles in Mexico at the time, the farm workers in San Quintin in Baja California, who've been fighting for a collective bargaining agreement in recognition of their union. And together with Valdemar, who spoke last night, they're urging everyone to please sign in support of this campaign to get the binational conference off the ground. There'll be conferences everywhere building this bigger conference, one in Los Angeles and one in Mexico City. So the message is from Luis Carlos Aro. And the last message is from the Workers' Party branch of Curitiba in Brazil. And it's a message, we send out our statements internationally. Chris Silvera knows about a lot of the international work. Clarence, that Jerry and I and many others were engaged in over the years with trade unionists and activists. Clarence involved in Chittagong in Bangladesh with the dock workers there against the privatization of the port. And Chris in India, we were just there last November with the women workers, the street cleaners, fighting for a decent contract. It's very, very important work, and many of them have responded positively to this call for cross-border solidarity and for international global solidarity. The message from Brazil is a very significant one. It's from Anicio Garces Homem, who urges us to denounce the decision by the prosecutor in Brazil against Lula. Lula was the founder of the Workers' Party, was a former president, and there has been a coup against Dilma Rousseff, who was the president of Brazil, who was brought up on Trump charges by current president, who himself is the most corrupt individual. Finally, they're going after him for corruption. When all the statements and all the evidence about Dilma's alleged corruption has been proven to be without any basis. The same is occurring with Lula. The purpose is simply, he's now the most popular person in the country. He wants to come back. The powers that be don't want the Workers' Party to be in power. They don't. He's not one of them. We can have differences, and many of us have severe and strong differences with Lula and a lot of what he did. But he's not Washington's guy, and that's why he has to go. And so he's been convicted to 9.5 years in prison for alleged bribe taking in relation to the petrochemical industry. Not one shred of evidence was produced. Everybody's taking note of that this is a political trial. So we are asked to join in the international campaign to denounce this continuation of the coup against the Workers' Party in Brazil. Those are the messages that we have received. The one from Luis Carlos is on the table, the registration table, and the one from Brazil I will translate tonight and make available to you tomorrow. But I wanted to just note this because these were greetings. There are many other greetings. I'd like to just finalize by acknowledging a trade unionist and activist from France who's here on vacation joining us. No mandate from his union or from his political organization. He's simply traveling. He knew about this and wanted to come and I think participated in the workshop on single-payer healthcare to talk about the own system. So Bernard Kayser, I'd like to make thank you.
Thank you, Alan. I know there was no discussion today after the workshops, but I think from the statements we received and some of the things we've heard, you might want to make some comments or you might want to make some suggestions from what Alan has read. Now, you know, I've been in many of these meetings where we didn't get out until 10 o'clock, and we're doing good, folks. Y'all had your dinner. We've heard some great speakers. We've heard some good music, and we're going to wrap up with good music, but we're going to bring up the next two speakers and let them speak, and you guys are committed. You know, you're the left of the left, and we've got a lot of work to do, and these guys will fire you up. So I want them to come up. And I'm going to tell you a little bit, as I've said, I've been in the streets with them. They've been in South Carolina. They're no strangers. When there's a fight, these two guys are there. And the first one I'll have speak, and then just if Chris Silvera and Clarence Thomas will come up, I'm going to read you a little bit about them, and they can tell you a little more. There's not enough time to tell you everything about these two guys. I mean, a lot of you folks have referred to them. Chris is with, he is he's the Secretary-Treasurer of IBD, International Brotherhood of Teamsters 10 in Long Island. Is that correct, Chris? 808. Okay, I'm so sorry, it was 808. 10 is Clarence. Apologize. I lost everything. My granddaughter's been helping me with the tablet, and I lost everything, and she had to help me get it back together, so I apologize. I should know that. And he's an activist. He addressed recently the future of labor and how we will go forward. In 1998, Chris was elected by the membership, the first chair of the Teamsters Black National Caucus. I hope I got that right. And he was a leader of the Medium Worker March. Like Clarence, he's been participating in anti-war marches. He's been protesting Wall Street. And you name any other protest that's going on in his part of the country, he's there. But he's also in other parts of the country. And he'll be joining me in South Carolina in October. So again, let me introduce you. How many of you know Chris? How many of you? Raise your hand. Okay, this is what we're doing tonight. We're learning more. So here's one more of our great activists, like Teresa and those folks in the communities here. So, all right, Chris, you come on up, and then you'll be followed by Clarence. I'd like to see about him too.
Good evening.
Good evening, Chris.
As I said earlier, power belongs to the people.
All power to the people.
Yes.
What do you say? But nobody's going to hand it to you, right? Somewhere in the turnpike, you have to do something difficult if you're going to gain power, sustainable power, not one night power, not 2 nights of power. You know, we had, coming out of the period of enslavement, we had a Reconstruction. And they elected folks to Congress. We even had black men in the Senate and what have you. And they did away with that. We went through the Klan and we went through civil rights struggle. And then we had the second period of the second Reconstruction that culminated in the election of, I mean, he wasn't a radical fellow, but he was a black guy nonetheless, Barack Obama. And we expected so much from him. And we got so little from him. But it's okay. And I'll tell you why it's okay. Because somewhere, some young black male, some young woman knows for sure that they could be in that position and do something. And so we don't have to sit here and belabor what Barack did. He just broke the door open. Now we can all go in. So it's time for us to stop lamenting Donald Trump. Everybody, oh, Trump, this, fascism, that. We've been through this already. This is not new to the struggle of working people across the world to confront fascism in Spain, in Italy, in Germany. Now you're getting into America. Welcome to the world. I'm with the Teamsters. And we used to be a strong organization. My brother Clarence came to New York in December of last year and reminded us about the struggles in Minneapolis in 1934 and how powerful that was. But he also talked about how the cops beat people and kill people. None of them were black. They were all white. If you go to Jamaica, cops kill people. None of them cops are white, they're black, and they kill black folks. Cops are cops. They're an extension of the state, and their job is to oppress the working people. So don't be surprised. We have a general president that almost lost an election, lost America. And if it wasn't for the people in Canada, Teamsters Canada, he would have lost the entire game, and he would not be general president today. So there says something is happening in this country. Bernie Sanders, Donald Trump, there's something happening in this country, and the question is, are we, and by we I mean trade unionists, community activists, people who have an interest in the working class rising up, are we going to capture what's happening, or are we just going to be crying? Because this is a moment of opportunity, whether we see it or not. Because someone is not talking to the working class, and Donald Trump is the reaction of the labor movement, not addressing the needs of the working class and collaborating with the Democrats to their own detriment.
That's right.
What we enjoy today in labor, did not come because we were Democrats, did not come because we were Republicans. It came because we had our membership in our palm. We had the power to talk to our membership. Our membership listened to what we said. We were able to mobilize, go in the street, and get the things that we have today. We lost it in the boardroom. We lost it in smoky rooms, talking to Democrats and corporate elite and hobnobbing with the rich and famous. We, as a movement, because there is a business aspect to the movement. You got to collect money, you got to account for the money, you got to pass rules and constitution and conventions, and there's a business aspect to it, but we have become lost in the business of the labor movement, and the movement part is gone, and we are all business and no movement. So everything that we gained, everything that was gained in Minneapolis, that was gained in San Francisco in 34, that was gained in the strikes of 37, that was gained throughout the battles and people dying in Kentucky and West Virginia with the miners, we are losing that today. And if we don't do something different, we are going to lose it all. And we are going to go back to square one. So we are about 6.7%, what have you like that. If we don't stand with flock,
Yes.
we're going to lose it. If we don't stand with the workers in Mexico, if we don't stand with the women in India, if we don't stand with the people in Nicaragua, if we don't stand with the people in Cuba, if we don't stand with the Palestinians, we working class people globally. This is not an American problem. This is a global problem. This is a global assault on the working class, country to country to country. This is not a time to meet and talk to Hillary. This is not a time to meet and talk to Nancy. This is not a time to meet and talk to, what's my man out of North, South Carolina?
Oh,
Clyburn. This is not a time for them. This is a time for Teamsters, longshoremen, postal workers, name them. This is a time for us to start to go back into the streets, start to go back in the shop, start to get our members on board, start to get them to understand what does a living wage mean, what does single payer mean, what does it mean to have a pension, what does it mean if there's any of you in here that have a pension should be in the street blowing a trumpet to let the youth know why you want a pension and not a 401k. If we don't stand, if we don't have liaison, and I thank Alan for inviting me to come to India because it really opened my eyes to see what the potential was. I didn't know. I didn't know what was happening in India. You had a blurb here and a blurb there. But when you see it, when you see these women coming in, and I didn't know too much what they were saying, but I could tell that they weren't happy with Modi. That much I figured out. So it says that the song was translatable, even though I didn't speak the language. They were pissed. The workers in Erie, Pennsylvania, who chose Trump over Hillary, were pissed. They weren't pissed. They were pissed at a union. They were pissed at a party that no longer spoke to them, spoke past them. Didn't remember they were there. Because I'm busy in D.C. hobnobbing. Nothing wrong with hobnobbing, but you can't hobnob to the detriment of the class.
That's right.
Right? Your work has to be important. When you don't lose anything, when your members are losing pensions, when your members are losing their jobs, when your members are taking regressive contracts, and you still fat and happy, something's wrong. You can't be doing so well that you are so disconnected from the pain of your members that you can't even talk to them about it. You need to research it and hold up a thing and read it and miss yourself on the page and forget what the hell you were talking about and have a teleprompter and have some advisors, that means that you are not a part of the struggle, because if you're a part of the struggle, then you don't need to read from a book because you're living it, breathing it, eating it, digesting it, day and night. And this is not a battle that we're going to win by Local 10 alone. Local 10
That's
alone
right.
can't be just shutting down ports if the rest of us are eating hamburgers
That's right.
and having cookout. In our contracts now, we started to demand May 1st as a holiday. We have started to change those contracts that still allow us to have what was known as Columbus Day to Indigenous Peoples Day. And the guy says, Chris, what is this Indigenous people? You didn't even know what it meant. That's cool, that's cool. But when I explained to him that we've been celebrating a mass murderer, instead of remembering the people who died at the hands of the mass murderer, he says, I got you. It's simple, but it starts to make you change what side of the fence are you on. Are you a cowboy or an Indian? When we was playing that game, we all wanted to be, who wanted to be an Indian? Nobody I knew. The guy who was the Indian was the guy who didn't get the gun in the hat first. You know, the fastest one's got to be the cowboy, the smartest, the quickest got to be the cowboy, because that's what we thought we were supposed to be. The labor movement has to change. The labor movement has to go back. Was that Lenin? Oh, let me just make a preface, because that sounds like something that came out of Lenin's mouth before it came out of my mouth. So let me just preface that I didn't know all these radicals were going to be here. Didn't know there were going to be communists here. And I want the government to know that I'm talking to you only because I am here, but I didn't know all of y'all was going to be here. So sometimes you got to take a step back, regroup, think, reconnect. I heard Joe talk that they reconnected in UNAC. The labor movement has to reconnect, not only with each other. They split up some years ago. We did a thing called, that's where I met this brother right there. I didn't know he was radical either. I thought he was a judge, but it turned out he was radical. I don't know how I keep bumping into these radicals, and I want the government to know I'm just bumping into them. I didn't plan any of this. I'm an immigrant, so they could kick me out of the country, so I have to be careful. So I want the government to know that I'm not, you know, a decent fellow. So now, the union, right? So when we did the march, let me just back, when we did this march, we bumped it. Yeah.
Oh my God, turn around and let us see the back.
Let me tell you.
This is it, right?
Yeah.
The Million Dollar March.
That's where I met Saladin. That's where I met Allen. That's where I met all these radicals. I didn't know they were radical at the time.
Wow, I was there.
Yeah, I met them too. I didn't know y'all were radical. But I was going to D.C. to look at the statue of the monument.